Hi, Pamela Kelly here, registered dietitian and nutrition therapist. I've got something I think you're going to find very interesting. I'm going to do a series of short little informational spots for you, and I'm going to call it these three things. I'm starting right now. So the first one is going to be these three things about hunger. And I'm going to start with the first one, which is physiological hunger. Physiological hunger is physical. It's clear. It's concise. It is a little bit subjective because everybody sees hunger a little bit differently. I can't tell you what hunger feels like physically. Only you can. But I can tell you some trends of what others have said and what science tells us is true about hunger physically. There's a signal from the brain that goes to the stomach and an enzyme is released, a neurotransmitter actually. And it does send a signal that causes a slight amount of discomfort. Some people say they have thoughts of food. They look at the clock, they figure out what time it is, they think about what they packed or where they might go for lunch or have for breakfast or go for dinner. And hunger is described as a sense of emptiness. Some say a tickle. Some say a pang, not pain, but a pang. Physical hunger is usually a sense of emptiness in the stomach. If you take a sip of water, you can usually feel the water go down your throat and maybe enter your stomach. Physical hunger can be trained in some ways. So if you think about it, if you eat breakfast and if you have lunch at noon and if you have dinner at 6, it's pretty well guaranteed that those physiological symptoms I just described would happen in the morning, at lunch, and at dinner at predictable times if you eat in a predictable way, and that's actually good. Hunger makes noise sometimes in the stomach, where you feel just a growly sound. But what it isn't, hunger shouldn't be intense. It shouldn't feel like you're gonna faint. It shouldn't be the shaky, low blood sugar feeling. Hunger shouldn't arrive and only be acknowledged when you feel like you've got a terrible headache, and if you don't eat, something is going to happen. Hunger, we hope, would not increase intense anxiety. And for some people it does, and that probably means you're too hungry. So physiological hunger is thoughts of foods, pang, tickle, maybe a little growling. It shouldn't be ignored. Usually leads to terrible things if you ignore hunger, and I'll talk to you about that later. It's trainable, somewhat predictable. It can be ignored and postponed. So if you're in a meeting and you feel a little growl and you look at your watch and you know you're going to eat in an hour, you can ignore it and it usually will settle down a little bit until it becomes intense. Hunger is a fascinating subject in general. We would not be here if we didn't have hunger. It's the great motivator, and it's the best seasoning when it comes to having a meal is nice hunger.